Guys, I know I'm hyperventilating because I've done the research. I know what the problem is. I'm trying to get the physical under control. I'm trying to get a grip on myself. And I'm just hanging up there as we slowly go up, on your stomach. So it's not like you can stand there and go, I'm in a really clean elevator. Look at the view. Lovely. All the way to the top, ka-ching. They come over the PA. At this point, I apparently am talking to myself out loud and yelling things at myself. The CEO's next to me doing this. The PA comes on, and the 12-year-old who's in charge of the ride says, pull the cord. Now, at this point, I'm feeling pretty good because I could actually understand the words for the first time in the entire adventure. And I'm hanging up there, and I'm trying to get a grip, and I'm talking to myself, and I'm asking myself questions. I'm thinking, okay, it's all good, we're safe, we're attached to something very, very high. Woo, look at how high we are. Okay, it's all good. Hello, who are you? You know, because the CEO's hanging here next to me, doing his thing, right? Mr. Cool, Mr. Suave, he's got it all under control. So apparently, the cord thing is on my side, which I missed during the previous discussion when I couldn't understand English. So at some point, although I have no recollection of this, the CEO is trying to reach around me to get to the cord, and he and I are doing this to each other, hanging from the pole. Now remember, 3,600 people, CEO and I dangling, woo, right? The kid comes back on the PA and says, ma'am, which pissed me off. The women in the room got that. Trust me. Ma'am, pull the cord. Dead silence at the base of the slide. At this point, the CEO is also hanging there, and he's yelling at me, and I'm like, not helping. So I start to breathe. I'm trying to get the physical under control. The kid comes back on the PA and says, ma'am, would you like us to bring you down? And I had that moment that we've all had, where I sat there and I finally asked myself the right question, which is, could I live with myself? Could I have told all these people, I know it's scary, trust the process, it'll be great, we're gonna win. And yet there I was, paralyzed by fear. Could I live with myself? And I decided I couldn't. So I reached over and I pulled the cord. And I apparently screamed an incredibly inappropriate word all the way down and all the way back. The 7 times it took me to come to a complete stop. And they put a hook on you, they pull you down, they unhook you from the fine strand of cotton. And what was the first thing I said? Let's do it again because I'm a moron. But here's the thing that's important about that story, is I felt great. And if any of you have ever done that, have you ever had a couple too many margaritas in Mexico and you go, look at that thing behind the boat with the big parachute, that looks like fun. You know, and then you get hooked on and you're like, ah! Anybody who's ever gone through that, you know what it feels like. I felt spectacular. I felt like I could change the world. And I didn't feel that way just for a day or 4 days or a week. I felt like that for 3 months, that I could do no wrong. And it was spectacular to me because not only did it play out in how I felt, it played out in my business. I tripled the size of my business, which was not a small business at that time, but I credit this situation for building me into a multi-million-dollar business. Because I was picking up the phone call and CEOs going, your leadership team stinks, you need to hire me. And they were like, okay. It's fabulous. Who knew it was a selling technique? I didn't know. So it was amazing for me that not only did it work for me, but they're actually doing clinical trials right now with MS patients. And any of you who know an MS patient know that there is no pain management of conventional medicine that works for them, particularly toward the end of their lives, except one, tandem skydiving. And they've shown that if they take an MS patient, tandem skydive with them, they can be almost pain-free for up to a month. That's how amazing this chemical process is in our brain, being able to take action in spite of fear. And that's ultimately really all courage is. All courage really is the ability to take action in spite of the fear. Here's what's interesting. The question for you guys is, what type of courage do you need right now to act from to be successful? What type of courage does your team need to act from to be successful in the challenging times that we have ahead? What is it that you need to do as a leader? Is your team stuck in one of those quadrants? Are you stuck in one of those quadrants? What do you need to do to move to the next place, to create a culture that is truly courageous? And I'll leave you with a couple of quick questions, because it's going to take leadership courage. You guys are the Olympians. You don't have to change the breaststroke to get another 1/100th of a second off of your time. You don't need to change how you do the long jump to get another half an inch out of it. You have to choose to make it different. You have to choose to have leadership courage, to do some things in a different way, to try some new stuff. The first question is, can you build the relationships you need to move the team, the company, the client forward? You have the perfect opportunity. Raytheon is giving you a gift, not only with the amazing, extraordinary people besides me that you get to hear at the podium, the Ursula Burns, the Governor Patricks, the amazing people you have there, you've got amazing people sitting next to you. How many of you are spending time getting to know the new people in the room, not just the people you know today? Do you have the leadership courage to model the behaviors you want to see, to be the leaders that you wish you could have reported to for your entire career? Do you have the leadership courage to set the expectations around innovation and opportunity and hold people accountable? Now, I'm not talking about the everyday accountability stuff, because I think you do that incredibly well. I mean having the hard conversations, being willing to have those courageous conversations around performance that we all hate to do. Nobody finds those fun, but I'm talking about getting as good at that as you are at everything else about your job. Because until we allow people to rise to the bar we set, until we help them either get there or help them find a place where they can be successful, we can't move ahead and take that next step that Bill's asking you to take. And then last but not least, do you have the leadership courage to face uncertainty and ambiguity with the courage to try something new every day? It's so easy when you get to the top of the heap, when you get to the top of your game, to simply continue to do things the same way. It will take courage because you might fail. There's a wonderful quote by Peter Kostenbaum that I want to leave you with that says, possibly, those leaders who will be successful in the future will operate from 4 dimensions. Vision, which I think you've got in spades. I think it is crystal clear where you guys are going. I think from the senior leadership down through everything you do, the branding piece, the things that are around this room, I think you've got the vision. Reality, which is get serious about what you, as a leader, are great at and where you need help. Your development is your responsibility. What do you need? 2 people in this room raise their hands that they're acting from a place of role courage. Get serious about what you need help with and go ask for it. Go get it. And if Raytheon won't give it to you or they don't have a class for it, go get it somewhere else, because your people need you to do that. Ethics, which I think goes way without saying with this organization. And then that little thing called courage. And I want to leave you with a very quick story with the minute I have left here, and then I'll let you go. But I think this is where I really truly understood how hard and yet how easy this can be for all of us as leaders in a multi-billion-dollar company, 72,000 employees. Where this really was brought home to me was watching a little kid. I told you I'd gone skiing recently. And at the end of the ski day, my daughter had been up on a lesson, and any of you who have ever gone through that process know what it looks like at the end of the day. You all converge on the bunny hill, and there are thousands of people and thousands of kids and instructors and parents, and everybody looks alike because they're all bundled up. And it happened that I was standing at this spot on the hill where there was a bunch of 3.5, 4-year-old little kids beside me, and it was adorable. They're all in their little bunny Michelin suits with their little, mittens tied to their sleeves, hanging from their sleeves. And now they make them wear these crazy helmets that are so heavy that on their little tiny necks, they look around and their heads go like this, bobbing back and forth, like this. And I'm sitting there, and the whole team gets all picked up except for this one little girl, and I'm assuming she was a little girl. She was all in pink. And she was standing there like this, and I watched this whole operation. She spied a little bump down the hill. And she looked around, and she turned her skis, and she ooched, and she got to the little bump, and she jumped up to catch air, right? So she jumps up. She, of course, is going less than a mile an hour, so there's nothing happening on that. But she jumps up and she falls down, and she's all twisted up, and her skis over here and her arms over here. And at that age, they're so limber, and they have the stumpy little arms, so they can't get themselves up. But somebody really smart has invented this mesh vest that they zip on the outside of their jackets, and it has a little handle on it, so the instructors can pick them up by the handle, shake them out, and carry them around like this. It's hilarious. So this little girl is laying there, and she crashes, and she's giggling, and she's laughing, and she rolls her helmeted head over to her instructor, and she goes, "More." And the instructor's like, "Oh." He goes over, and he picks her up, and he shakes her out, and he takes her back up the hill a little bit, and he puts her down. She tries it again. She falls again. She giggles. She laughs. This didn't go on twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. This went on. At the 6th time, my daughter showed up, and she was like, "Come on, let's go." And I was like, "Shut up, I'm watching something." Because every time she got a little bit better, she almost stayed up on her feet, right? What was hilarious to me is on the 8th time, She finally stayed on her feet, and she was so excited that she whipped her head around to tell her instructor, and the helmet was so heavy it took her right down into the ground. But here's the thing. She wasn't sitting there in her head going, oh, I failed. I'm not trying that again, right? Every single time she failed, and failed spectacularly, I might add, for a little thing, failed, she laid there and she giggled, and she laughed, and she said more. You're going to come away from this conference with a couple of nuggets, a couple of things you can do differently. And if you go back home, you're not going to hit it out of the park on the first try. You're more than likely going to fail. But if you can lay there and giggle and laugh and say more, those are the companies that win no matter what. Those are the ones that not only make opportunity from challenge, but thrive on it and build their business for the future and for the future generations. Thank you so much for your time. It was an absolute honor and a treat, and my privilege to be here. Thanks, Bill.
I want to thank Cindy for the gift, but Cindy, I can't refer to you as Cindy any longer. It's Zena.
Absolutely.
And so, henceforth, any future work, any checks that come from Raytheon will have Zena on it. So
that works for me.
And the backflip off the stage for me was the comment on the Generation Y.
Yeah.
So you did that symbolically, so I appreciate that. It was a gift today, so we'd like to give you
thank you very much.
A token of our appreciation.
Thank you.
It's a Paul Revere bowl that's symbolic of a generation of courage and a country of courage. So
absolutely.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks, you guys.
So the key message to me as leaders